Hello everybody, my name is Getty2122 and welcome back to the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles. Last time, we completed the third case of the second game in this particular set of games, and I gotta say, it was a phenomenal case. Not only was the case fantastic, but all the different plot twists having to do with both the immediate and overall plot of the story was just fantastic. I couldn't believe this is essentially at the midway point of the whole thing. And I honestly was kind of worried that I kind of wanted to stop again after we completed this case, but once I actually got to the end, no, I am 10,000% back on board and we are going to finish this because I cannot leave this be. It's so good right now. So let's continue on with our journey through the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles.
Pipe in hand, Sholmes looked down at the thick, rolling fog outside our window. I wonder exactly how many mysteries are out there, hidden within this bed of fog, he said. Indeed, a most bizarre incident, born of a curious advertisement. A hellhound's mad gallop through the shadows of a serial murder, an executed man's graveyard resurrection in the dead of night. And a commonplace killing in a small, forgotten room at the edge of town. There is, naturally, always another side to every case, of which most remain ignorant. And it is that other side which compels me to the scene of the crime, Wilson. So quickly now, take your hat and let's be on our way, my dear fellow. For our adventure is not over yet. Come, the game is afoot.
Eight days after that earth-shattering trial and Kazuma regaining his memory, we were in the foyer of one of London's most luxurious hotels, the Great Waterloo Hotel. Professor Mikotoba is due to arrive at any moment. Yes, I'm so glad we got here in time. Chisato-san hasn't been the same since what happened. Not that I'm surprised. The truth about Kazuma-sama's father. Do you suppose my father knew? That he was actually the mass murderer, the professor, you mean? I knew that's what she was thinking about. There's a good chance, I'd say. I mean, they did come here to London together 16 years ago, didn't they? Yes, that's true. Come to think of it, didn't you say that Professor Mikotoba knew about Kazuma going missing in Hong Kong as well? That's right, but for some reason he wasn't at liberty to talk to me about it. That probably means he knows then. About Kazuma showing up here in London with amnesia and that he's regained his memory now. Ah, there she is! Oh, it's the boys. Oh, father! Hello, Susato. How are you? I'm very well, thank you. We're delighted you've arrived safe and sound. That's the other judge from Japan, isn't it? Hello, Mr. Naruhodo. Very kind of you to take the trouble to meet us here. Oh, no, not at all. It's my pleasure. We've heard all about your extraordinary exploits here in London, you know. The news has crossed the seas. It has? I always look forward to reading the monthly reports that arrive with the steamships from Britain. Oh, I see. Well, thank you very much. Who is this man? Why do I feel as though I've seen him before? You have seen him before. I take it from your expression that you can't quite place me. In that case, how about a little reminder, Seishiro? A firm tap should do it. Yes. A firm tap? What? Here we go then. I hereby pronounce the defendant Ryunosuke Naruhodo guilty! Ah. Oh! You're... The court will now hear the trial of Ryunosuke Naruhodo. Your Excellency! Hello, Judge Jigoku. How are you? It's been a long time. Ha 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 ha! Good! Good you remember now. That really did the trick. Guilty! Ha 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 ha! Only I was declared not guilty, wasn't I? And there was no laughing at the time. So, London again after all this time. Hard to believe it's been 10 years. To be honest, I never thought I'd be back. Neither did I. I didn't imagine Japan would ever be invited to an international symposium like this. Though, really, I doubt anyone did, to be honest. It's all thanks to you, isn't it, Seishiro? What are you talking about, Yujin? Ha 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 ha! Of course, Judge Jigoku, he must complete the set. He's the other man who 16 years ago came to London with Kazuma's father and Professor Mikotoba. He's the third visiting scholar. Well, all those passport checks and luggage searches at the border took rather a lot of time. I must say, I'm very envious of your ministerial status. You didn't have to go through any of that, did you? Ah, I knew you were jealous. Ha 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 ha! Sorry? Ministerial status? Yes, didn't you know? Seishiro here is also Japan's Minister of Foreign Affairs. Really? It was his personal insistence that allowed you to take Kazuma's place here on this study tour. Guilty as charged! Ha 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 ha! Oh, well, thank you very much. He's really every bit as important as he looks. Ah, yes, now, Naruhodo. I received a telegram from Lord Strongheart yesterday. Oh, you did? It appears that some things came to light in a trial you were involved with 8 days ago. About what happened 10 years ago. That tragedy. Yes, could you tell us any more about it? Let us converse! So, how was the voyage here? Well, 50 days at sea is a long time by anyone's standards. But it wasn't as bad as when we first came 16 years ago. No, that's true. Then I truly wondered if we wouldn't be drifting in the vast ocean for the rest of our lives. This time, we followed the same route as you, so we were able to relax and enjoy the experience. Ah, so you stopped in France's beautiful capital, Paris? We did, yes, though only for one night. And yesterday evening we left the port of Dunkirk for Dover. Just in time for the symposium, in fact. It starts tomorrow. It's wonderful that you were invited to attend such an important international event. I'm very proud of you, Father. It's thanks to Seishiro here. 16 years ago, he managed to ingratiate himself with Britain's Attorney General. I'm sure that's why he was invited, and I suppose you could say I'm something of an appendage by default. Speak for yourself, Yujin! You were close friends with the Professor of Forensic Science at a major hospital. Yes, well, I'd rather not dredge all that up, really. No, there's been a lot of water under the bridge since then, but it doesn't bring him back. Kazuma's father, I suppose. Speaking of which... The professor, the killer who took the lives of 5 members of the British aristocracy, was actually Kazuma's father, wasn't he? That's correct. Genshin Asugi. Genshin. You knew, I presume, father. Yes, he was a close friend at the time. Genshin came to Britain as a police detective. He was studying investigative techniques at Scotland Yard. I've never understood what drove the man to commit such heinous acts. It was a closed trial, so the public never knew the truth, and he was executed with little ado. To this day, very few people know what really happened, even in our homeland. But what about Kazuma? Did he know? Did he know the truth about his father? No, of course not. He was told his father passed from sickness. However, I suspect he may have had his doubts. Oh, why? As you know, I tried to guide Kazuma growing up, as if he were my own son. Then one day, he came to my office at the university and said, I've decided I want to travel to Great Britain and study there. Do you think he wanted to come here to investigate his father's death? I don't know. But when I looked into his eyes, I did know that there was no way I'd be able to stop him. Something else came to light in that trial the other day, actually. Oh? What? Well, having disappeared in Hong Kong and been missing for almost a year, Kazuma since turned up here in London, working as the apprentice of Lord Van Zeeks. What? What? That's news to us! So, Lord Strongheart's telegram neglected to mention that part then. So, let's talk about that little tidbit. As you know, we both thought Kazuma had died on the steamship during our voyage to Great Britain in January. But he didn't die. He's alive. As you knew, didn't you, Father? In actual fact, no. What I did know is that when your ship docked in Hong Kong, he mysteriously vanished. We sent a team of investigators to Hong Kong to try to ascertain what happened, but to no avail. But he's still alive, and here in London, you say? I never dared to even dream it. Why on earth did the young man not make contact? The government and the police have been chasing clues fruitlessly for months now. Well, it seems that he was suffering from amnesia. What? Amnesia? When we first came across him again here in London, he didn't know who either of us were. I see. He only regained his memory 8 days ago. This is unbelievable. Yes, it's quite miraculous. I wonder why Lord Strongheart didn't let us know. I must speak with him urgently. I wonder how Kazuma's been these past few days. Would it be wrong of us to go and visit him? Wait, since when was that even on? Why was that not on the table? That began 16 years ago now. It's a distant memory, really. It was Yujin here, Genshin, Asugi, and myself. We were the original 3. The first judicial scholars from Japan to travel overseas to study. Ocean voyages were not what they are today, I can tell you. 16 years ago, things were tough for their generation. Your father was an exceptionally fine medical student at Yume University at the time, you know, young lady. Yes, grandmother told me. He went to do research at a great London hospital to study autopsy, practically unheard of in Japan. Yes, it was an eerie place, sandwiched between the back of a prison and a burial ground. Ugh, not more talk of graves. Very often, There's no one willing to deal with bodies following the autopsy work. So you see, autopsy lists have something of an unavoidable relationship with graveyards and prisons. Not my cup of tea at all. Do you remember that Scottish prison governor? Caden, his name was? He was a good man. Yes, but then of course, our 6th year here, everything changed with that dreadful case. When Genshin was arrested for a series of the most gruesome murders. I simply couldn't believe it. I know the man for years. I was a witness at the secret hearing and I tried to speak in his defense, but you went a little too far and ended up facing charges yourself, didn't you? Well, suffice to say that after that trial, we were sent back to Japan. There was nothing more we could do to save Genshin. He was a lost cause, sadly. Aww, Susato! I hate it when she cries. Well, if you'll excuse us now. Yes, I'd like to get this trunk up to my room as soon as possible. Oh, I'm so sorry. I shouldn't have held you up here for so long. I'll call for the porter then. Just wait here. Wow. Susato-san's gone off on a run. I'd like to stay and talk more, but I do have various preparations to make for tomorrow. Yes, of course. It must be a big responsibility representing our entire country. I wish you the best of luck. Naruhodo. I hope you'll keep an eye on Susato for me. Keep looking after her as you obviously have been. Oh, no, I mean, if anyone's looking after anyone, it's her looking after me. Well, I do appreciate you being there for her. After all, I've been a miserable father to her. I thoroughly let her down. Sorry? What do you mean? Well, it was 16 years ago that I started my long study tour here in Britain, as you know. The very year Susato was born. Yes, I heard. The birth of my daughter was the most joyous event of my life, but... well, sadly it was accompanied by the most tragic event of my life too. Oh, yes. Susato-san hinted at something like that. It was a rather turbulent time at home. Anyway, I won't bore you with the details. The point is, I became rather less dependable than befits a grown man. And it was then that Seishiro offered me the opportunity to study here in Great Britain. I was too worried about you to leave you behind. So perhaps I was a little heavy-handed when it came to persuading you to accompany me to London. So, that's what happened in a nutshell. And that's also the reason why I now feel compelled to give my daughter as many opportunities as I dare. Though the world does not readily afford young women such things, I must say. I completely understand, Professor. Ah, one other thing, Naruhodo. If I may be so bold, I have a favor to ask you. Oh, really? Of course! What can I do for you? Well, the thing is, I'm so sorry it took so long! Oh god, it's you. Well, actually, you know what? That makes perfect sense, but still. Miss Susato! Now then, allow us to take your bags. Allow me to take your bags. One moment, if you please, Porter. Oh, of course, sir. That machine around your neck. It's a camera, I believe. Quite right, sir. Just 5 shillings for a lovely photograph to commemorate a wonderful stay at the hotel, sir. Well, I think given the occasion, we could justify the expense. Ah! Yes, of course. Oh, that's so cute! I'd like to thank you for coming with me, Mr. Naruhodo. It's really made Father very happy, I think. Oh, well, I'm pleased then. But we were interrupted before. Professor Mikotobo was about to ask me something. Shall we return to Baker Street then? I expect Iris will have some delicious tea waiting for us. Yes, let's go. I'm getting more and more anxious about Kazuma, though. Perhaps I'll try to meet with Lord Strongheart later and ask after him. Well, I guess it's time to go to Sholm's suite and see Iris. Get that kind of pointed out the order that we need to do these things for now. Wait, hold on. Is that Kazuma's mask on the table? What's that doing there? I hope I'm saying that right. What was that? A man screaming in a most unflattering way. Do you think... Could it have been Mr. Sholmes? Oh my, I do hope not. I have so much unpacking. I don't want to do it anymore. Mon ami, mon ami. Such disgraceful display, huh? Who are these people? Look at their hair. It's bright red. I think they must be clients of Mr. Sholmes. Right, you two, you come with me now, down to the clink. No, not in prison. It's dark and damp and I don't like it. Boof, the darkness, it is my friend. I am not scared. But you're always scared in the dark. Shut your mouth, you idiot. I will sit quietly in the dark and plan our next daring heist. I don't like this. I don't like it. Well, we'll fish it out the yard. Get moving. Bye then, Ginny. Have fun. Oh yeah, thanks, Iris. And thanks, you great detective. Gina makes a fine detective herself, doesn't she? Oh, Susie and Runo. Hello, Iris. We're home. Well, did you find your daddy? Yes, we arrived at the hotel just before he and his friend. Oh, well, that's great news. I hope I'll get to see my daddy again soon. Yes, of course. Dr. John H. Wilson. So, Iris, all that remains now is the greatest of problems known to man. But before we concern ourselves with that, I believe some tea is in order, don't you, my dear fellows? God, your hair is red. I mean, that's way more red than it should be. It's so unnaturally red. Is something wrong, Mr. Naruhodo? Is something wrong? Yes, something very wrong! Do I have a crumb or such like on my face? Not so much on your face as on your head, I'd say. Come along then, everyone. I've brewed a lovely special blend. Time for tea! Whatever is going on here today. In that case, let us sit and drink now. For I am, in fact, expecting a guest later today. We're gonna talk now. Mr. Sholmes, who were the two gentlemen that were here before? Oh, just a pair of petty criminals, nothing of significance. Of course, they have to make a living somehow. And when the mood takes me, I'm willing to turn a blind eye to all manner of infractions. When the mood takes you? All manner of infractions? But When such fellows set their sights on Mr. Herlock Sholmes, well, that's when the luck runs out. Oh my! You were the target of a crime, Mr. Sholmes? But I quickly devised a plan to entrap them and deliver them to our young detective ally. You should have asked Gregsy to come too. We could have had an arresting tea party. I did send word, but no answer was forthcoming. The man is consummately in the wrong place at the wrong time. There's a word for it, I'm sure. Aha! I have it! A bungler! That's the word. It's a good job he's not here to hear you say that. So those redheads have been up to no good? I wonder what the men did. Greatest problem. What was that about the greatest of problems known to man that you mentioned before? Is it another fiendishly intricate case, Mr. Sholmes? How should I best explain it? Are you aware of the theory of evolution by natural selection, perchance? Well, I think I've heard talk of it somewhere, possibly. It's a revolutionary scientific theory that was newly proposed 40 years ago now. According to its author, Mr. Darwin, we humans were once apes who lived in the treetops. Wait, what? We were apes? Indeed. And from the very moment those apes descended from the canopy to live as humans, it has been our lot to be at the mercy of the greatest problem known to man. Our lot? What is this great problem, Mr. Sholmes? Why, is it not obvious, my dear madam? The problem of rent! Sure. Ha. But did you not receive a rather large sum of money from Madame Tussfels only the other day? Pshaw! A large sum? One potted herb for Iris and a new motor car for me later, and all of it has quite disappeared, I assure you. Honestly, Hurley, you know you squandered it. Yes, well, anyway, 2 days ago, I discovered the answer to man's greatest problem. For the coming month, at least. And what was the answer? Why, there is a substantial clue before your very eyes. Don't tell me! Let me see. Humans are sorry creatures, unable to see what is in front of their noses. Let me give you some assistance. Don't look, but observe me very closely. There's one particular feature about my person that has changed. You should notice it in the end, I think. In the end? It's been stabbing me in both eyes right from the very beginning of our conversation. I think we might need another clue before we uncover the full answer, Mr. Naruhodo. No, we don't! Thanks for the hint. I'll be tearing my hair out if this charade goes on much longer. How about that lie you told us? Mr. Sholmes, isn't it about time you told us the truth? Just over a week ago, you said to us, I will now tell you something of the first importance, my dear fellow. Great detectives are wont to lie. It will serve you well to remember that. That case aboard the SS Buria in January. Kazuma wasn't killed, and you knew he wasn't dead at the time. So what was really going on? The fellow was unconscious for a very long time. If he hadn't regained consciousness when he did, his life would have been in mortal peril. Of course, a side effect of the prolonged comatose state was amnesia, as you know now. It was a simple enough task to silence the crew. But how? After they'd carried him out of the cabin, I assembled them in the lobby area. Then I made them swear to leave him unconscious and have him unlaid from the ship in Hong Kong as a murdered corpse. Oh, how horrible! It was necessary to find some material with which to persuade the crewmen to keep their word, of course. But why? Why do it in the first place? I will be at liberty to elaborate in due course. But for the time being, I would like to reassure you. I didn't foresee subsequent events. What events? His disappearance in Hong Kong. Oh! I believe I may have made a gross error of judgment. Mr. Sholmes. Okay, a couple things we need to examine. We cannot directly examine Mr. Sholmes' thing, but we can at least examine the mask. The mask Kazuma wore when he was assigned to Lord Van Zeeks as his apprentice. When he cast it aside after the trial the other day, I just sort of picked it up. We ought to give it back to him, I suppose. But he has his memory back now, doesn't he? And I can't help feeling he might turn around and tell me coldly to wear it myself. But isn't he your best friend? Alright, well, considering how often the newspaper came up in the last case, this looks like last week's edition. What's that article circled in red ink there? It's an advertisement column. It says, "To the Red-Headed League." The Red-Headed League? What's that? I don't know. I've never heard of it before, but... Is something on my face? Clearly this has something to do with that. Lively hair. Red-Headed League article has been entered into the court record. An advertisement from the newspaper that's entitled "To the Red-Headed League." It seems somewhat suspicious in nature. Okay. Let's present the newspaper and see if we can't make something happen. It looks as though someone circled an advertisement in this paper, Mr. Sholmes. To the Red-Headed League? Doesn't that strike you in some way? I was thinking that just maybe it might be related to your bright red hair. So, at last you've learned to apply my methods, Mr. Naruhodo. Sorry? In the first instance, and quite indispensable, observation. Believe me, I could have seen that hair with my eyes shut. So then, allow me to regale you with the details of my latest exploits. Regale or boast? Boop. So, what is Red-Headed League, which seems to be the subject of the advertisement you circled? You noticed it in the paper, then? That, my dear fellow, was going to be the source of this month's rent payment. It was? How? According to the advertisement, the Red-Headed League is a distinguished institution of fellows of unspecified governance. In fact, the only condition for becoming a member is having red hair. That doesn't entirely surprise me. But listen to what the lucky redheads receive once they join. An unconditional salary of £4 a week. Oh my, £4 a week? But why? Why are they paying? What are they paying people for? That I don't know. No details are given in the advertisement. But surely every red-headed person in the country will be flocking to join in that case. You're right, Susie. There's no time to lose. I'll put it in my application at once. So will I, just on the off chance. That might be stretching a point, I think. The trouble is, they have a fixed number of members, you see. Oh, I see. So once a certain number of people have joined, no one else can. But as luck would have it, one member recently passed away. It wasn't particularly lucky for the redhead in question, I feel, Mr. Sholmes. So you decided to try to join his place? Correct. I mean, look at me. Have you ever seen such a red-headed fellow? Well, no. No. So why? Why did it have to go so wrong? What? What on earth happened? A blunder, Mr. Naruhodo, though it pains me to admit it. So, how'd you f**k up? What did you actually do to your hair, Mr. Sholmes? I'm glad you asked, Mr. Zato. What you see atop my head is neither dyed nor a hairpiece. I changed the color of my hair overnight. By the wonders of chemistry. Chemistry? I was conducting the same research in the method of rejuvenating spent tea leaves. And in the course of my work, I stumbled upon a potion that, when taken, turns one's hair flame-like red. Would you like to try it? It will make every hair on your body perfectly crimson. I think I'll pass. But Mr. Sholmes, is it quite safe to drink? Surely it's bad for you, isn't it? Ah, amateurs are always hampered by such fears. Oh, I should never doubt you, Mr. Sholmes. You mean to say... But of course. To earn £4 per week, one must be prepared to turn a blind eye to a little danger. That degree of red signals more than just a little danger, surely. So anyway, Hurley left full of confidence yesterday with his new red hair. For the park on Lime Street where the Red-Headed League were interviewing prospective new members. So what went wrong? The whole park was choked with red-headed folk, like a Custer's orange barrow. I queued for 8 hours solid before at last I reached the front. But when the panel of interviewers saw me, they immediately said, "Ah, Mr. Herlock Sholmes, are you in disguise to conduct an investigation?" So naturally, I had no choice but to reply. Shh! Don't give me away! After which, I could do little else but turn and leave. Then this morning, when I looked in the mirror, irritation stirred within me. So I turned that pair into the police. What? Oh dear, what a disaster. For Hurley and those two redheads. Mr. Sholmes, you mentioned before that you were expecting a guest today? Indeed, Mr. Zato, that is correct. Not another of those red-headed gentlemen that were here before. Not at all. They were petty villains. The guest I'm expecting is a client. Oh? A young gentleman who wishes to appoint the services of this great detective, no less. Oh, how wonderful, Mr. Sholmes. It's a gentlewoman, actually. You must stay and observe the fashion in which a great detective receives his customers. Must we? I have you in my clutches now, red! Just as I have you in my clutches, redheads. Ha 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 ha! That hearty laugh is masking rather sinister thoughts, I feel. You know, the lady isn't due for another hour yet. Don't feel as though you must wait around if you have other things to do. I think for the time being, now that we have taken care of that, we're going to go ahead and we're going to move on to our next destination. Ah, good. Plot be happening. It's my favorite person in the game and I'll say like at least favorite person in the game. Here's the final draft of the opening address for tomorrow's proceedings. I've supplemented your original with the figures you asked for from the yard. I see. Excellent work. Thank you. You're welcome, my lord. What's Lord Van Zeeks doing here? My, there seems to be an awful lot of tension in the air, wouldn't you say? This place is stifling enough as it is. We really don't need any more tension. Ah, crud. My apologies. I didn't notice you come in. Your small stature and dark dress make you all but invisible to me. Oh, no, it's entirely my fault for wearing black, I'm sure. From now on, you must dress in white from head to toe whenever you come here. Now then, Mr. Naruhodo? Yes, my lord. I'm right here. Kill me now. Is something wrong? Perhaps it's a little too hot in here for you? Oh, no, not at all. I mean, I've never experienced a room of such perfect temperature. If you're sure, the beads of sweat carving their way down your face seem to suggest otherwise. Because of the daggers you're staring at me with, mainly. As you're no doubt aware, my International Forensic Science Symposium begins tomorrow. In fact, your father arrived in London earlier today, I hear, madam. Oh, yes, that's right, my lord. He's extremely honored to have been invited. I'll leave the remaining preparations for the meeting room in your capable hands then, Lord Van Zeeks. I will attend at once. He gave you a very cold stare as he left, didn't he? I know, but I haven't done anything, have I? These past few days, my feet have barely touched the ground, I must say. My dedicated right hand of many years was recently put out of action in spectacular fashion. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. Is your left hand still of service? Mr. Naruhodo, he's talking about Dr. Scythe. Ah, of course. I'm terribly sorry about that. I was just, Fear not. You've done nothing wrong. Dr. Scythe's own wrongdoing precipitated the situation. You needn't concern yourself with it any further. That would be a lot easier to do if it weren't for the piercing stare you're giving me. Lord Van Zeeks is doing an admirable job of holding the fort. Though, disturbingly, his apprentice has been missing since yesterday. Oh, missing? What's become of Kazuma-sama now? Alright, we need to talk, big guy. Not so long ago, visitor numbers to the Great Exhibition exceeded 30 million. 30 million? Are there even that many people in the world? Well, there'd have to be. As a comparison, Mr. Naruhodo, the population of the imperial capital Tokyo is 2 million. I will be opening the International Forensic Science Symposium in the exhibition's main auditorium. This event has been 2 years in the making. 2 years of preparations and negotiations with other countries. It sounds like a tremendous achievement. Congratulations. The 20th century will see the wholesale adoption of forensic investigation techniques. And cooperation between policing organizations around the globe will be essential. Which is why this landmark first symposium had to be hosted here at the heart of our great British Empire, in order that Scotland Yard can become the leading investigative organization in the New World. He's the same as ever, I see. That passion of his is quite something. You're every bit as passionate in your own way, I'm sure, Mr. Naruto. I'm the only person in this country who truly cares about a future that embraces forensic science. It was my intention to become Her Majesty's Attorney General and reform the Yard from the ground up. So the disgrace of the forensic investigation team has been a bitter blow to my ambitions. Speaking of which, I first established the forensic investigation team a year ago, experimentally to start with. With Dr. Scythe at the helm, it was steadily accruing an impressive record of achievement. I was on the verge of changing its name and elevating its status to a full-blown forensic investigation department. And can you not do that now? Obviously, nobody wants to hear anything about it at the moment. Even I can't keep this story out of the papers. 6 million Londoners will be cursing forensic science now. This incident will set back our country's advancement in the field by a good 10 years, I'd say. Unintended repercussions of our trial. We simply couldn't have overlooked what had happened, though. Of course not. We should all be grateful to you both. Anyway, I'll still reform this country's policing when I become Attorney General. This might delay my plans, but it won't alter them. Nothing will stand in my way. Well, at least you have a simple goal and you are willing to do anything to get to it. Hopefully that anything does not involve murder. I really hope it never comes to that. About Lord Van Zeek's apprentice. Yes, that came as a surprise to me, I must say, that you and he are old friends. How did he become an apprentice of Lord Van Zeek's in the first place? It came about 3 months ago. An unidentified Asian man was apprehended by border police. They found him hiding aboard a large goods vessel. Oh my! So he stowed away to get here. He had no papers to identify him, no passport, and he was suffering from amnesia too. Other than the fact that he was clearly of Eastern descent, there were no clues as to who he was. So I decided to assign him to Lord Van Zeek's. That way I could keep an eye on him. There had to have been a different option. There has to be more to this. But then, why the mask? I didn't want to burden Lord Van Zeek's with tiresome explanations about why he had an Eastern appearance, or Eastern apprentice. Because it would be so much easier to explain why he was wearing a mask. He's proven to be a great help to Lord Van Zeek's. I have high hopes for his future. By the way, do you know where he's gone? No idea, but I believe he's left London for the time being. What? Oh. I take it you also didn't know. That the man's father was one of our country's most infamous criminals, I mean. Kenshin Asugi. Okay, well at least we're still all on the same page here. What we learned from that trial 8 days ago was a huge shock. Finding out my friend's father was... yes, Genshin Asugi. The professor case 10 years ago caused a great stir here in Britain. They were such awful murders, and unprecedented, using a ferocious dog as a murder weapon. And no one would have believed the culprit was a foreign student invited to study here by the government. So the true identity of the killer couldn't be made public then, and can't be made public now. Nobody in your country knows it was him, and neither do the citizens of London. The main motivation was to avoid aggravating relations between our two nations at the time, I understand. Correct. However, it has to be noted that there were some supporters of the professor's apparent cause. What? Supporters of a mass murderer? The majority of the man's victims were a blight on the aristocracy of the day. Somewhat ironically, their deaths actually benefited society as a whole. Or so a fair few thinkers in London believed, anyway. Right, I see. But it was still murder, wasn't it? It seems very similar, doesn't it? To the idea of the Reaper of the Bailey. Okay, I believe we've done everything that we can do here for the immediate moment, so I think we're gonna move on back to Sholmes' suite. Ding-a-ling-a-ling! Aha! Here is my guest now, my latest client, with money to spend. Ooh, I do hope it's an exciting case, Hurley. Remember, Iris, we are at present griped by the greatest problem known to man. I must be willing to accept any case, no matter how unstimulating, save locating a runaway, of course. It's gonna be exactly that. Don't spare anyone's feelings, will you? Oh dear, I'm afraid that Hurley can lack a little tact, especially just before the rent is due. Mr. Sholmes! Mr. Herlock Sholmes, please! Oh, please! God, it's you. Please find my husband! He's run away! Of course. To upset me? I beg your pardon? Never mind. A personal matter. My apologies. What exactly are you trying to say, Mr. Naruhodo? What? I didn't say a word. Come, my dear madam. Be seated. Iris, some tea, if you please. Of course. What's the matter, Mrs. Otto? Oh, it's just that gentlewoman. I feel sure I've seen her somewhere before. Very recently. Like, maybe 8 days ago recently. Yes, now you come to mention it. As I explained earlier, my name is Evie Virgil. I implore you to take the case, sir. Money is no object. Simply name your figure. Money and wealth are of little consequence to me, madam. Even though that is the sole motivation for doing this. Being offered a case to solve is reward enough. Oh, Mr. Sholmes, you're the picture of benevolence. I will, of course, make a mental note of your offer, however, for contingent reasons. I trust you remember your words also. If I might inquire, sir. This gentleman and the lady would be... Oh, me? What am I about to tell you? I should like to communicate in the strictest confidence, you understand. Ah, these are my friends. I assure you, you may say before this pair anything with which you may say to me. Ah, I see. I can vouch for the gentleman personally. After all, he's hard of hearing. You. Why did I ever get my hopes up? God, I love Herlock Sholmes, but God, he drives me crazy. Mrs. Virgil? Oh, Mr. Virgil. Let's talk about Mr. Virgil first. Forgive me for asking, Mrs. Virgil, but have we met somewhere before? Quite recently, perhaps? Oh my! Pshaw, my dear fellow, what is your attention? Clearly you have no ability to differentiate the facial features of the English. Yeah, all like 24 that we've actually seen. If you wish to invite the lady to tea, you must do so in a more gentlemanly fashion. Is it possible that you're the nice young lawyer from the trial I attended last week? Ah, I knew I recognized her. To have a man's fate in the palm of one's hand. Oh gosh, oh golly, it sent shivers down my spine. I didn't quite recognize her because she's acting so differently now. It must be very difficult for you as a lawyer. Being hard of hearing, I mean.
What?
Pardon? Oh my god. I swear, Ryunosuke and I share like one single brain cell. It is ridiculous. Oh dear, I'm so sorry. Don't worry if you can't hear. It was trippery really, nothing more. Now look what you've started, Mr. Sholmes. Thank you very much. I believe it would be prudent for you to sit quietly in the corner. Yes. What about Mr. Virgil? Tell us about your husband, madam. Mr. Virgil, my Dolly, is 40 years of age. Is it Dolly or Daly? I'm gonna go with Dolly because it does have an I in it. I have a photograph here. An entirely unremarkable gentleman, by appearance at least. How long have you been married? It will be 15 years this year. We have a cordial relationship, and my husband's income is more than adequate, so we live quite comfortably. As it would appear. I need only look at you to know these things. Oh gosh! Your dress is the latest style, your hat clearly regularly groomed, and your eyes are animated. In short, you have no inkling as to why your husband might have disappeared, correct? That's right. He's a kind man with a strong sense of loyalty, and he rather dotes on me. Which would point to the possibility that he has become embroiled in some incident or other. Oh, that is exactly what I fear must have happened, Mr. Sholmes. I'm quite beside myself. My husband's employment is somewhat unusual, you see. What if he's incurred some miscreant's ill will? What exactly is your husband's line of work? He's a warder at the prison. Oh, lady, your husband is so dead. A guard? That's somewhat unusual. Let's talk about that a little more. So, your husband is a prison warder? That's right, yes. Well, in actual fact, he's the chief warder. Oh no, he's very dead. Indeed, I see. Well, chief prison warder certainly qualifies as something of a specialist occupation. Yes, it does indeed. My poor husband must prepare those dreadful punishments and see that they're carried out. Dreadful punishments? Does she mean capital punishments? And at such times, he must occasionally spend a night or two in the prison dormitory. But for that extra responsibility, he is remunerated more handsomely than the other warders. Of course, we make no mention of my husband's word to the neighbors. Yes, I believe your prudence is justified. Tell me, at what prison is your husband engaged? Barclay Prison, Mr. Sholmes. Oh, that is no coincidence. That is no coincidence. Really? Barclay? Oh, a fine establishment. If I'm not mistaken, there is a large cemetery just behind it. Yes, that's correct. Lowgate Cemetery. No! Lowgate Cemetery? The very place we were discussing in court! That's unbelievable! Not really. I mean, someone has to be responsible for it. Unbelievable, my dear fellow. And yet undeniable. Sorry, Mr. Sholmes. I'm afraid you've lost me. Ah, pay no heed, madam. Pay no heed. A private matter. This can't really be a coincidence, can it? Alright, so let's actually get to the meat of the matter here. So, to the matter of your husband's disappearance. When did you realize he was missing? Please try not to laugh. It was yesterday. I'm sorry? Yesterday? That really is recent. Laughably so. The truth is, my husband does at times have occasion to spend the night away for his work. It's not at all out of the ordinary for him to not return home at night, but this is different. For him not to make any contact for a whole day, that has certainly never happened before. Oh, my dear Daly, whatever could have happened? I'm probably just gonna keep switching every time. My dear Mrs. Virgil, please calm yourself. Now then, have you contacted the police? Why, naturally, but sadly, they refuse to listen to my pleas as my husband has only been missing for 1 day. I don't believe that at all. He is the head of the prison ward. It's like, I would think you'd be more compelled to look for him if he's gone missing. I was asked to wait patiently at home. In truth, Mrs. Virgil, I concur with the police. However, let us not be hasty. I see no reason why we should not engage my deductive powers to track your husband down anyway. Oh, thank you, Mr. Sholmes. And furthermore, let me assure you, a chance to solve the greatest problem known to man for another month has no bearing on my decision. I seek only to put a sweet smile on another Londoner's face. That's really all there is to it. You have my eternal gratitude. I shall pay any sum you care to mention. You seek only to put this suite's rent in your landlady's purse. That's all there is to it. Thank you for everything you have shared with us, Mrs. Virgil. I believe I have all the information I need to begin my investigation. Oh, please report to me soon with good news, sir. Fear not, madam. In a day or two, I shall be contacting you with a hard-hitting report, I'm quite sure. So soon? Oh, how splendid, Mr. Sholmes. Good news should be delivered early, I always say. If you would be so kind as to leave the photograph of your husband in my possession. Photograph of Mr. Virgil has been entered into the court record. It's actually Vigil, not Virgil. My mistake. A photographic print received from Mrs. Vigil in order to aid with locating her missing husband. He appears to have no particularly distinctive facial features. Thank you. Now, allow me to show you the door. I can't thank you enough, Mr. Sholmes. You've been simply marvelous. You know, I think every time, Hurley. But how do you come out with such nonsense? Good news in a day or two. Are you sure? I can't be sure, of course, but then I didn't swear on it. I merely gave the good woman some hope. I hope to be able to give her good news, one might say. After all, the rent must be paid by the end of the day tomorrow. If by that time I've successfully located Mr. Vigil, we shall be mutually relieved. Wouldn't you agree, Mr. Naruhodo? Don't look at me with those pleading eyes. Well, my dear fellow, did you hear the details of the case? Yes, my hearing is surprisingly good, actually. Excellent. And what did you make of it? Well, I was surprised to learn where her husband worked. At Barclay Prison, I mean. Ah, so you noted that. Of course, especially with the mention of Lowgate Cemetery.
Lowgate Cemetery is at the rear of Barclay Prison. so was renowned among us students of the university for being haunted by the ghosts of condemned convicts.
Barclay Prison is where that notorious man was incarcerated. The professor. And now a warder from the prison has mysteriously disappeared, it would seem. It's all very peculiar. Indeed. But nothing you can't handle, I'm quite certain, Mr. Naruhodo. Pardon? Sorry? Run along to the prison and see what you can glean. Would you? It's the prison governor you want. No doubt the man is equally worried. But aren't you going to go yourself? Surely you needn't ask. I can't possibly see out with this hair! But didn't you go to Lime Street with that hair? That was a quite different matter. So I leave it in your capable hands. Now, if you'll excuse me, I'm rather busy. Of course you are. God bless you, Herlock Sholmes. Well, I suppose it is time to move on to the prison governor's office.